All right, so just for letter purposes, this will be SS, S plus, A plus, or sorry, this would be, I guess this would be like SS, this would be S, this would be A plus, this would be A, this would be like B, and this would be C, D, E, F, G, Nox falls here. All right, all right. Achilles. Nothing has changed for Achilles in a long time. Not bad by any means. Kind of slow if you're trying to play him in the jungle, especially with the tanky meta taking over. He doesn't really fit in with the auto attack type tanky items, like your stone cutting, your Ichabod, those kind of items. It's solo lane. He's not bad at any means, but he doesn't have any insane matchups. Late game, once you get there, pretty solid. Just very average. You could even put him in a good, and I wouldn't complain. It'd be in these two, but A makes sense for him, so A for average. Agni, same boat. Rough early clear, and then the not that much range while also standing completely still while casting your bombs causes you to be an average tier mid lane god. No changes. I don't remember the last time Agni was buffed in any way, shape, or form. The items don't make Agni better than other mages in any way, so right here. Apwasher for Conquest. Straight shit doodle balls trash. Why in the motherfucking world are you playing this god in any role? You don't do anything. You don't peel better for yourself. You don't burst better than other mages. You don't survive better than other mages. You don't peel better than other mages. You don't clear better than other mages. You don't have any mobility. You don't have any survivability. You just die. That's it. Amaterasu keeps getting buffs and has not come back into the meta yet. I think Ama's a solid god all around, but just falling in that average category. You don't stop any lanes. You aren't better late game versus other gods because late game comes up very quickly. So your solo lane gameplay isn't nuts. In the jungle, you're kind of there. If you decide to take this god in the jungle, you don't have a lot of variety and options when you go into different team fights. So falling in the average pool is Amaterasu. Church, thank you for the 3 years. AMC, another god. Got buffed a while ago. Wasn't enough to bring him into like super meta. The auto attack builds aren't enough to bring him into meta because he has no survivability. Great, you're fast when your fucking little hives are all over the place. You don't have instant mobility. You don't have survivability. You stand your ground and try to survive. Most people will out trade you until the late game. Once you're in the late game, if you're being doped by 3 gods, you die. So same boat as normal. On her, still very, very good. I kind of want to put like on her up at like, yeah, I'd put him at good. I wouldn't say super strong. I'd say he's good. One of the better ADCs. Has a lot of favorable matchups, has some bad matchups, so you don't want to early pick him all the time. Anubis, extremely situational. If people are not building anti-heal, I don't know what bracket you play in. If they don't learn what anti-heal is, Anubis is playable. If you build a team comp that keeps Anubis alive and plays around the Anubis, possible to play. Or if you full-blown snowball your dick off, Anubis is an option for you to play in the mid lane. You do still have a lot of pressure. But you gotta remember, the early game goes by super quickly, which is where Anubis used to do most of what Anubis does before people build anti-heal. That's going to come up way faster. Your first items are going to be anti-heal because there's no more boots. So, hyper situational. Quang or Banger, I'm going to put in the good tier. I think Quang is a viable option. You're getting to full build, late build quicker. In casual, in your casual and rank games under Diamond, auto attack build works very well because people are idiots and don't know how to group. Ability-based build is superior in every way, shape, or form, except for the fact that it's more decision making and more mechanical skill. So at a lower level, auto attack build works. At a higher level, I would be doing ability based. With the new starters, Quang is better. You can go into Bumbas, you have faster clear, allows you to farm faster, allows you to go for kills in the mid game, and then late game you get your Bumba spear online and you actually do a lot of damage. Banger gonna fall into good. Afro, I will say Afro is in the average tier. You're playing a mid lane mage that doesn't have insane pressure, but has in good, like a really good team presence. Anti-heal will be picked up, but you can play around the anti-heal. You just have to be smart about it by using your Aegises, by staying grouped up, playing around your team, and using your heal when there's no Ankh. Don't waste your heal into Ankhs. You'll do all right. Just a very average mage. People play it because they love Aphrodite or they fucking are into some healing shit. I don't know. But Afro's doing all right. Not that it's not great, not good. Just average. Apollo, after his nerfs, he hasn't come out of the average tier. The fucking global ult isn't doing that much. Everybody can rotate in half a second, so Apollo doesn't have a lot of viability there. Arachne in your casual and ranked games is going to be good or even super strong. You single out everybody. We're in a meta where the auto attack items are very strong. Your first items, golden blade, stone cutting, extremely cheap, so you get online very early. Problem is your late game is your one issue. Your team fighting is not amazing. If you snowball early, your team fighting's fine. If you don't, your team fighting is super based on how the other team positions. So Arachne's going to stay in the good tier. Internet is fine. Good, Riley. We will play around, like, I don't know, probably when I'm done with this. All right, Ares. Ares has been doing amazing. Extremely consistent too. So you've got pressure in lane by doing damage. You have a great ult that people are either wasting their bees or wasting their CC immune ulti, so you're able to engage. And it's more of just your rundown factor. You can get up in their face. You don't really die if you're building properly, and you're doing a lot of damage while being very annoying and keeping the opponents from moving. Almost every god being played is a movement based. Like, everyone is playing hyper movement based characters except for some ADCs. So Ares is good into pretty much every team comp. Artemis, as long as you know how to position and you understand how a no mobility hunter like Artemis works, the builds are very strong for Artemis. She got a bunch of buffs. Her lane clear is good. Her dive is amazing. If you're playing the game the way you really excel right now, where you're kind of just W king all the time, any fight you go into, you commit to that bitch, Artemis is going to kill it. If you're sitting in lane playing like a bitch, you're going to get your cheeks clapped. You're going to go 0-5, and you're going to be like, well, I thought Artemis was good. No, you're just bad. Artio is doing pretty decent right now as a solo. I'd say really good as a solo laner to counter all those movement gods. So if you're playing it for your team, Artio is sick. If you're playing it as a support, just make sure you don't fall behind. Works out really well. Athena, to me, is the... Broken's a little extreme. We'll say super strong. Athena is the easiest to play support. If you can't play Athena support, you can't play support. Straight up. If you can't play Athena, you have no idea what you're doing and you don't know what the support role is. Because your job is literally to walk up to people and press 2. You taunt. That's it. That's your whole job as Athena. If you're not in a team fight and something's starting, or you're not able to get to a gank that's starting, you ult to it. Your one job is to literally taunt one person. If you can get multiple dope, at least one person, either burn beads or kill that person. Athena's job is super easy. You don't have to do a lot of damage. You can be wherever you want on the map. You're fairly safe because you have a mobile dash. You also have auto attack blocks, so you just don't die very quickly. Athena is very good, very easy to play, short cooldowns, amazing god, perfect for support. Awelix is going to go in my average tier, more of a higher skill cap, even in your counter picking gods by using Awelix. So a whole bunch of people have leaps, so you pick Awelix. It's not that amazing because Awelix isn't burning beads every 2 seconds. You're really full committed a lot of the time when you dive. It's hard to move around, but you do have good abilities to avoid damage with the 2. You have one of the best CCs in the game in a knockup. Knockup's the best CC in Smite, so being able to knock up somebody or get multiple knockups is dope. It's just how consistent are you at hitting multiple knockups every time you blink into a late game team fight? Super consistent, you're gonna have a lot of success. If you're not getting blink knockups off the rip, you're probably losing those team fights. Avayaga is doing really well right now. She's kind of just pumping damage and free farming with the free stacks. The earlier late game, she's really hard to kill and does a lot of damage. Learn how to hold your potions. Make sure you're always running around with 2 potions in the mid and late game. That's how you do your full combo of abilities and you full fucking 100-0 somebody. And then use your ult to either finish people late game, early game, it won't do that much damage, or in the mid or late game, finish people with it. You save it for survivability if you aren't winning the team fight. Save it to get the jungler off of your ass, get the solo laner off your ass, knock them back, and then do some damage and walk around safely. It's also a CC immune ult. Anyone who has CC immunity in their kit is pretty fucking valuable most of the time. Bacchus not doing that insane. I'd say more situational than everything. You have to be heavily aggressive with Bacchus and be engaging and doing a lot of damage as a support, which leaves your backline open to being dove and having no peel. Bacchus has always been like that. So in a super dive meta, if you pick a full team comp that can dive, it's dope. But if you leave a hunter or a mage out to fend by themselves, they're going to die. And you just end up trading every time you dive. Baka is doing pretty solid overall right now in your ranked and casual games. You just farm up, hit late game, and then WQ with the auto attack builds. He has not changed at all. Nothing's going to change about him. He doesn't have a heavy amount of CC, so he's not really great team fights. You literally just auto attack and hope you can outfarm the enemy jungler. It's really hard to outfarm right now to the jungle because jungle farm is terrible. So you need some kills. If you're not getting kills, you're just trying to farm, it won't be enough. Baron not doing anything. Baron ain't doing shit. He's not playing mid. He's not playing solo. That's a lie. He's playing solo a little bit. Average is fucking the solo lane. It's cool to have a ranged god in the solo lane that can do a little bit of that like hybrid-y CC damage healing at the same time. While you're doing that, you're playing a ranged god in a role that's meant to be a frontline god. So you're taking away an entire frontline character from your team. You're fucking yourself. In the mid lane, Baron's not good. As a support, Baron's not good. Average. Really, really have to play so well to get away with doing this in the solo lane that it's not worth it. Bastet is shit. You're supposed to be getting a rework. I'm assuming the next big patch is going to have it in it because we haven't heard shit about her. The rework is going to affect, I think they said her 2 and her, or no, was it her ult and her 3 again? Or ult and her 2? She's doo-doo. She's an alt bot, and even when an alt bot, she's garbage. Alona's doing a lot better as a solo laner. You have way better in lane aggression. You can poke and fight back. And then once you get into team fights, you are very annoying. You're able to run straight at the ADC and shut them down, which is always valuable. Alona's not nuts because she is still killable. She's not moving around a ton in the team fight. She's got her dash to get up in your face. And then she has her ult, which is usually an up, down, or used to dive to really just continue the fight. So once she's in, if you can move around that and then turn on her, she dies. Cabrakan doing okay. I would say probably better as a jungler than any other role, but not that great. You're playing in a fucking meta where you really just want to be able to fight in that mid game. And while Cabrakan can target one person decently well, if they have actives, you're not full comboing somebody, and then you're going to get turned on. You're going to get locked down. You don't have mobility. Kama doing extremely average because he has no CC in his kits. Cerberus is doing really well. I like Cerberus. Support, solo, however you want to do it. You have pen shred in the kit. You have a huge CC ult in the kit, which forces so many people to use beads every time you use it. You do a ton of damage, even as a support. Full defense support at level 20 hit me for 1300 damage with no fire giant. With a full kit with a 2-1 combo. 1300 damage. So Cerberus does a lot of damage. Has pretty much everything you need as support. It's one of the better aggressive supports. It's super easy to play if you learn how to hit your stuns. If you don't know how to hit your stuns, don't play Cerberus for the love of God, because then you're worthless. Cern, just garbage. His ult is garbage compared to most of the other hunters. He doesn't have a steroid that's making him do a whole lot better. His kit doesn't have any hard CC of a mini root and then the mini sheep, which still move around in. Cern is just Cern. He's always been Cern. Who's perfect? Who are you saying is perfect right now? Scotty? Oh. Alright, Chalk. You already know where Chalk's going. Shit! Chalk is doo-doo! Every once in a while, we hit the meta and people are like playing Chalk and doing okay. And then everyone remembers how to play against Chalk, and Chalk goes right back down. Chalk is doo-doo. He doesn't do anything, especially right now, where the early game lasts for 2 minutes, which is the only part of the game Chalk ever did anything. He always fell off late game. He always was average in the mid game, unless he super snowballed, and you have a 2-minute window to try to snowball on somebody. Chalk, poo-poo, doo-doo. Chunga, very situational because you have low ranged abilities while really relying on the fact that your team is going to huddle around you and you're going to play around Chunga, bouncing in and out of fights. Very uncommon. Chunga's hard to play. Charybdis is sadly average. Her 1 is good. Her 3 is amazing. Her 2 sucks ass. And her ultimate just doesn't feel right on an ADC because it is so slow. If you go into the ultimate and you use the ultimate, during that time, you could auto attack and do more damage with 2 autos than with the ultimate. So there's no fucking reason to really consistently ult unless you're just trying to set up your team or help or do something weird with that ult. It feels average as hell. Chernobogger, really good. You basically can't die when you dash, as long as your dash is up, because you're going to go into a wall and buy yourself a lot of time, and then you're going to Aegis and buy yourself more time. You've got the ultimate, which will buy you more time or allow you to get in every single team fight. Your in lane phase is awesome. Your steroid allows for the bow build to do really well. Chernobogger, solid. Really, really good. Kyron is still really, really good as an ability-based hunter or in that auto attack base. You don't go the full bow build usually. You go like a mixed hope bow build. Still counters on her. Know your matchups when you're playing Kyron, and I think you'll have a lot of fun. You've still got the long range to help dive in the backline as before. Kyron really hasn't gone anywhere since his buffs. He's not prioritized because all these people are running these steroid gods and playing around the bow builds, but he still works really well. Kronos is average. No real place to throw him right now. He's okay in the mid lane, and he's not really played in the ADC role. In the mid lane, you kind of just rely on the fact that you're going to get the late game eventually. You're still easily killable. You're still highly susceptible to the dive in the late game, and that makes it very hard to get away with Kronos consistently. Cthulhu, broken because of his new skin. Not really, though. Cthulhu average. Tier 5 skin, god tier. Everything else about Cthulhu, average as fuck. A tanky Cthulhu is annoying. Don't get me wrong. It's very annoying, but definitely killable. There's so many items and abilities and Sunder in the game. Everyone can hit you. You're the biggest fucking target of the world. You don't really do anything crazy in lane. You don't have any amazing matchups that just you stomp right now and they're all yours, and that's why you're amazing. Average god, skin, nuts though. Yeah, I mean, like Shmeep just said, Kins is OP. Right now, the bow builds and regular auto attacks builds are really strong. You've got Sunders, even after the nerfs, still really strong. And then you just have a lot of damage being put out from mages and hunters. So trying to dive and face check mages and hunters right now is very difficult for everybody in the late game, especially a fat ass Cthulhu where you can't dodge abilities. Cucullin, really good. Still doing great. Still same old solo shit. Even after the nerfs, you have Mask in the game, and you've got the tanky build out of Mask going into Axe and everything else. Just allows for all these ability warriors to still be top tier. Cupid, average. A lot of the matchups don't favor Cupid right now. Artemis will be able to play around it. Honor will be able to play around it. Chiron will be able to play around it. Rama will be able to play around the Cupid. Yes, you can burn those abilities and those ults really easily, but the fight is not there necessarily for Cupid. I don't think Cupid's bad. I just think Cupid ult doesn't match up with a lot of the way these other gods play off of their ults. What up, Frantic? Thank you for the 11 months. Welcome back. Dodgy. I think Dodgy's really underrated right now. She might be the most underrated assassin in the game. We're definitely in a meta where people want to play warrior junglers, and they're going into stone cutting, they're going to berserkers, they're going into Ichabod, because I can just face check anybody with that. But after you hit that peak in the game, which is usually up to like the 20-minute mark, the regular junglers still over peak those gods. Like they out damage them. The power is way more there for the ability based junglers. Something like Dodgy is going to be one-shotting late game. You're going to have the ability to burn beads. You're going to have the safety in your ultimate. You have really good mobility. The items definitely, I wouldn't say only favor her, but you could do a lot of damage and go full damage build and just one-shot the squishies, where a lot of these other junglers at that point will get face checked by a hunter and they'll lose the 1v1. They'll get face checked by a mage and they'll get one shot. So Dodgy kind of plays into that better in the late game. Danza is still doing fine. I'd say average tier. I don't know if it's fair to say Danza's average. I'd say Danza's good. Still fairly safe. Really good ultimate. I think for your average player, you see a lot more mistakes made on Danza, because they don't know how to use the leaf invulnerability. They don't understand how to use the ultimate. They misposition a lot trying to use the ultimate. But the Danzas who learn that your auto attacks are your core, you have cool CC in your kit, which allows you to win those trades, and just based off of the auto attacks, I think those players are the ones that are going to do really well in Danza, where your shittier player is going to be in the average tier, just dying and trying to ult into team fights over and over again. Discordia, still kind of just I'll put her in average. She's still kind of just a buff that does okay damage. Erlong, this is going to be like, I guess, new for the jungle. Because right now, this exact moment, until this next jungle patch hits, you're seeing a shit ton of these warrior junglers, and that's all you see every fucking game, seeing them over and over again. So I'm going to put Erlong in super strong because of the items right now, even though I kind of think at a higher level Erlong is more in the good tier, but I think in your lower level games, you just run through idiots with the Erlong build. It's Erlong, Gilgamesh, Osiris, Bellona, all of them can play it, and you just run through idiots with it. And I think it just is kind of hard for the other people to stop. So for casuals and ranked, it varies a little bit different and a little bit higher. So Erlong, super strong. E-set, average, because it's still just E-set. It doesn't do anything and has a doodle ult. Fafnir is very good support, one of the better supports right now. You buff your team, a ton of these auto attack builds in the meta, so it allows for you to buff those auto attack gods. So just fucking unleash hell on everybody. You shred through objectives. You're super safe with your ultimate immunity. Fafnir's doing great. Fenrir doing really good too. Probably the easiest to play aggressive support, other than Cerberus. I think Cerberus is the perfect guardian aggression support, and Fafnir is the perfect, like, I just want to kill you and I want to be physical aggressive. I really like Fafnir. Super strong. Freya, still situational. You die too quick, you just get dove way too easily, sadly. She doesn't have anything where she excels. Yeah, you can snowball, you can get a lead, and if you get that lead, you can run through idiots. It definitely happens. It's very situational. Why we're under situational, just not super consistent. Ganesh, why is Ganesh falling off? I still don't think Ganesh is bad. I think Ganesh is one of the more annoying gods to play against, but Ganesh is hard falling off, and put him in average. He was played all the time, and then I swear the pro players were like, he's bad, and then everyone just stopped playing Ganesh. That's where we're at. I think Geb is super average. He's still good, still does the job of the supports, but there are better supports that are easier to play to do the job, like Athena, having your aggressive stuns like Cerberus, like Fenrir, all do a little bit better than Geb right now. Gilgamesh is broken. In the jungle, Gilgamesh is impossible to fucking kill. He has way too much CC. He does a lot of free damage. His early, mid, and late game are all very strong. He is a nice, annoying team fight ultimate, and the builds complement his gameplay and his ability set and the way you want to play him. You can play him as a hybrid super in your face jungler warrior, or you can build into a full damage and just 3-shot people with a normal auto attack build. Super annoying. What's up, Bib Bam Boop? Thank you for the 77 months, dude. God damn, you're up there.
Kurt.
You are up there, boy. Juan Yu, he ain't doing shit. Anti-heal, easy to build. He's not winning lane. He ain't doing anything. He's not being played in the jungle, that's for fucking sure. In the solo lane, you see him do okay occasionally, but it is not consistent. The other warriors do his job 1,000 times better. Play other warriors. Play other warriors. Hachi, average. He's safe. He has a steroid, but he doesn't do anything great. Just a very, like, that safe area hunter that really other hunters are matching up with now with their safety. Hades, situational, really hard to play and do your job. You're not hard diving without other team disengaging. You are being turned on even when you're sitting in your ultimate with your bonus fucking defense and you're not taking as much damage. You're still taking a lot. You're still eating asunder. You're still standing still. And you're still dying. There's anti-heal in the game, so you don't sustain as well in the team fights. You don't do enough burst damage. If you go into a hybrid build, you can be killed way too easily. Ebo doing pretty well, but nothing nuts. The jungle builds are going to be a little more in his favor now that the jungle starters are usable on him. And in the mid lane, he just can't be played because he's not as safe. Too easy to kill. Heimdall, I will put in, I'm going to say in the good tier. Please learn how to use your 3 before you play Heimdall. Anytime you walk anywhere, anytime you're leaving your lane, anytime you're leaving a general area, you need to put your 3 down and use it. If you're using your 3 like the pros do or like the top level ADCs do, you notice they never die because their 3 is always somewhere where they can insta-port out of the team fight without getting fucked up. They don't have to use their Bs, they don't have to use anything, they just get the fuck out for free. If you're doing that, not using your 3 to get back to the lane, not wasting your 3, not forgetting about your 3, you'll be very good at Heimdall. If you don't do that, you'll suck ass. Hell, situational. Close range, not long enough range for the mage abilities. Anti-heal is going to fuck you up, and the people are going to dive you. We are in a meta where the dive is even more exceptional than it usually is out of junglers and warriors and even guardians and even some hunters and mages. So good fucking luck playing hell. Hera is killing it right now. She's hard to kill. She doesn't really do anything other than drop her ult. So if you suck butt, you literally just drop your ult and press 3 and your ult will kill everybody for you. You can miss all your abilities and then ults, kill everybody. Hera's doing really well. It's being played at a competitive level, consistently, doing well. Even though she lacks mobility, it's just the fact that it's really hard to kill her with her self peel. She's got the sheep, she's got the high damage, she has the peel out of her ultimate, and she's the shield. Pair that with the Aegis, pair that with just the items that mages are building right now and the amount of damage they can do, she stomps. Some nameless one. Hercules doing okay. A good-ish aggressive support, but risky. You fuck up once, you kind of just fall behind out of the game. And in the solo lane, similar, where your solo lane's pretty good. You have a lot of early play and you can go for kills against the bad players. But once you rotate in the later team fights, any amount of CC will fuck you up and the anti-heal will cause you to just die and be out of position. Horus, average as a support. Not doing what Fenrir is doing. He's not as aggressive as Fenrir. He's way more in the support-esque area where you should just play a Guardian if you're going to do that. Yi, not having a lot of play. Doing okay when he is. Fairly average. He doesn't do anything exceptional. You have basic movements. You have an okay Disruptor teamfight ultimate. You've got a little bit of setup and lockdown out of the 1. I think it's the fact that it's a little bit harder to get the crazy bounces you used to on the old map, on top of the auto attack builds being so strong and crit not being heavy meta, that every other hunter is just more viable and more important than Yi because you don't play Yi into those gods. Hunbats. Dude, I used to hate Hunbats being meta, but honestly, I kind of miss it. We haven't seen Hunbats as like true meta in so long, where Hunbats used to be that point where you didn't go, like Hunbats was the lowest point where he was always viable and always really good, but never the best. Up there sometimes towards the top, but never the fucking best, but nowhere near bad. And he's just not played much at all. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he does anything terribly, I think they nerfed his ult timer, right? At one point, his ult timer not too long ago got buffed, so it was a little bit longer. And ever since that happened, he's fallen a little bit out of meta because people want to prioritize gods that are a little more spammy, a little more relevant in every team fight, and have hard lockdown outside of their ultimate. That's why you're seeing Hunbats in the A tier. This hurts my soul. I don't like this. Izanami, I'm putting her in the good tier, man. I hate this. I think Izanami's dash is still absolute poo-poo trash. But because of auto attack builds, because of the fact that you can just sit there like a dumbass and face check and throw your autos through everybody, makes it really difficult to play into an Izanami and very easy to play in your average and low levels. Being played a little bit at a comp level, it is fairly consistent. She's not the safest, but because of the W key do damage me at bow build meta, she's working. Filthy, but she's working. Next up is Janus. I'm going to put Janus up here in the super strong tier. Global rotations, full CDR builds coming online earlier. The slight nerf to Vamp Shroud, so other mages are a little bit lower if they decide to build those. A lot of people are shifting away from the Vamp Shrouds and going into the damage builds again, damage starters. And then you have the new Staff of Mirrodin. That is insanely good. You already had Ven, I think was one of the better Janus players that's playing at a comp level, who was building Staff before. Staff is now kind of cracked. You have the ability to get off your 2 like 3 times out of an ultimate, which is ridiculous. You're in a team fight around Fire Giant, you get an ult through one of the walls, and then you 2-2-2. You're gonna kill 1 or 2 squishies if that hits anybody. Oh, Hurry, sorry, not Hurry, not Ven. Herwin, I think, was the one playing the Janus doing the crazy builds. That's way more viable now, way more viable for your normal player. You ult, you have a high amount of CDR, you have 70%, that ticks down real quick, so you can 2 and portal around 2 or 3 times in that little bit of a period, and it's kind of hard to keep up with anybody hitting you that hard and moving around that fast. Jingwei, average, all she does is stay safe. That's it. She just stays safe. She doesn't have cool team fight abilities. Her knockup is okay, but you usually want to save it for yourself so you don't get fucking clip clappered. You've got an ultimate that 90% of the time is used to run away because you're a bitch, and then you can fly back to the lane. You farm, you AFK, shit, not shit, average ass god. Will always be average, has always been average. Fuck Jingwei. She's boring as hell. She won't win you games. She's average. Jormungandr, average. All he does is fucking try to build damage and run around in his ultimate. Better than before. For a long time, he was doing pretty bad, but he's still not that good. There are other Guardians that you could play and do a lot more. The one thing you have to understand when playing Jormungandr, similar to playing mages in that solo lane, the second you ult, you leave your 4 members of your team alone without a front line. It's cool if you're diving and jumping on people, but you got to remember, there's still no 5th front member who's a front line in that team fight. Your team can be counter dove. Your team might not be able to push in because they don't have front line. You have to rely on your Guardian to front line then, and then you have no peel for your back line. Yorm, not the best, especially in your average rank games, for the love of God. I think Kali is still very good. Little bit worse now that you're seeing these warriors building Ikaval, Stonecutting, and Berserker. Because into that matchup, you're going to have a bad one-on-one. It doesn't eliminate your ability to still build an auto attack build, still go kin, still build a high amount of pen, and dive everyone else in the late game. And in the early and mid game, you can stick to those those hunters and those mages and just go for them. We're in a meta where fighting is good, and fighting gets you farm out of the jungle. Farming alone does not. So being able to full commit on a one target and hope it goes your way, Kali's the best at that. Very good at that. Jormungandr ult ain't disrupting shit, especially yours. I watched you miss 6 Jormungandr leaps in your ultimate in that game. When did we play? Like a week or 2 ago? 2 weeks ago? 6, Mamba. 6. You missed it 6 times. But nice try. Kepri, all he does is ult still. He's okay, actually okay in lane. You can create a little bit of aggression with the auto attack build hunters behind you, but just not really good outside of you start the fight and then you press your ult and then the team fight's probably already lost anyway. King Arthur still doing really well as an ability-based solo laner. Once again, those solo laners didn't get touched much. They were supposed to be bad, and then they weren't. Everyone realized nothing really changed. Kukulkan is doing a lot better, but I wouldn't put him too far. I'd probably put him in the good tier. Kukulkan's really good at farming, really good at rotating because of the movement. The fact that you can go right into stacking items makes him even better with going Book of Thoth. You have infinite mana, so you can just spam and be annoying. Positioning is the most important thing. But you have your 2 as a backup, like, hey, I'm fucking out of position, just pop the 2 and walk away. Get to the back of the team fight. Never over position, because you have that. You can get in and out with it and spam it, because you end up getting a lot of CDR just in your natural builds, especially with the starters. Goomba, doo-doo, situational. They nerfed all his damage a long time ago and he's never come back from it. Zimbo is average. He's a semi-aggressive, more annoying than anything support. Doesn't start a lot of fights well. You can get in there and be in their face, but you still need a lot of people diving for you and doing basically your job. You do have great peel out of the 3 and the ultimate. So if you're primarily just peeling the whole time, don't mind a Kazimbo. But if you're trying to be in their face, get the 2 off in the hunter, you're probably not doing your job. Loki is amazing right now. Hybrid builds still work on him. Full damage builds still work on him. And you've got the shitters running the shitty crit builds. Don't do the crit builds. 240% scaling on the 3 or some shit like that. High CDR. The starter items are making Loki even better than before. If you go a hybrid build, you can go to a Bumba's Hammer and spam your ass off and nobody can kill you because you're spamming your ability so much. Or you just go to the full one-tap or bapper builds and one-shot the squishies, disengage, come back, one-shot the next squishy, come disengage, just rinse and repeat. Medusa never came back. She got, was it a buff to her 1? They buffed something on her, right? I can't remember what they buffed. I know they buffed something on her and everyone was like, well, ability based hunters. No, she didn't come back. She's not auto attack based enough. She only has 4 autos off of her 1, so that stim isn't enough for you. Her mobility is one of the worst hunter mobilities. It's worse than Izanami because it can be blocked. You're never getting out. If somebody's blocking you from walking the way you want to go, you're kind of fucked. Your ultimate doesn't go through walls. If they made it go through walls, she might be semi-viable. Mercury is still really good, being that hunter crit builds aren't super viable, so you can build crit on Mercury and most people aren't going to go anything to super hard counter you. No spectrals, no I don't even know. You're not going to go Thorns anymore. Thorns is bad. So nothing to really fuck with Mercury too much. We already said Hoyi's not being played, so no counter hunters. Mercury's still doing really well. You get a lot of farm. You get that late game earlier, and you can one-tap people. Merlin, better now that Staff of Mirrodin is in the game with the buff Staff of Mirrodin. You pretty much just need that item. Like, you don't rush that item, but once you have that item online, the amount of abilities you get off in a team fight or in a short engagement is ridiculous. The amount of damage you can do if you're not in a position during that time is fantastic, and your dash is on an instant fucking cooldown when you use it after stand swapping. Makes it nuts. So you can pretty much use your abilities, stand swap, use your abilities, dash, and your shit's gonna be right back up again, and you can use them one more time to either disengage or keep chasing or just drop another rotation of abilities on yourself for peel. Morgan, to me, is still the best guy in the game. I'll put her in front of Gilgamesh. Her 1 is probably the best ability we've seen in Smite, maybe ever. She has, on top of the best ability, fear, CC you could possibly want, you have an instant knockback, pushback slow that does damage, and then you have movement out of your 3, CC immune ultimate, where you have I forget what they call it, like your directional, not slowed directional movement, whatever the fuck it's called. You're faster moving around no matter how you go, left, right, up, down. So your 3 combo into your ultimate makes you super fast, easy to disengage, easy to chase people down, easy to do damage from max range. Omni movement, they call it something else. Maybe it is called Omni movement. I don't know. She's the best guy in the game. Straight up, period. She's OP. Mulan is average. They keep buffing her, but she doesn't do anything. Her abilities are not a movement. Her abilities are too slow. The animations and her quality of life is too slow. It's bad. It's been like that for a long time. They tweak it a little bit and think she's going to be meta, and it doesn't happen. They tweak it again. She doesn't come into meta. Eventually, they'll figure it out. The 3 needs to be changed. The ultimate feels better, but it still doesn't feel that good. Even the 1 feels fucking slow on her. They need to change that shit. It's kind of like Charybdis, where her ult and her 2 feel so slow that it ruins everything about the god that feels good. Neath. Situational. Why the fuck would you play Neath when you have all these other gods? That's it. Neath is only usually meta when she can be played in the mid lane. Hunters are viable in the mid lane. That's not a situation right now. Mages are insane. Why would you play Neath mid? Nem is still very good, able to kill tanks, able to kill squishies, able to run any build you want, auto attack, hybrid, ability based, crit. You can run anything on Nemesis and make it work. Nemesis is good late game, mid game, early game, everything. Nemesis has probably been one of the best all-around junglers for the last like 2, maybe 3 years. Naja is super risky. He has played in support. It doesn't do the support job enough. Even if you're playing your ult perfectly to take somebody out of the team fight, you're still out of the team fight yourself. Naja doesn't do shit in the jungle because people can beads the ultimate if they're not potatoes. You create a little bit of pressure, but your early game isn't as useful as it once was, and the early game isn't even that important anymore. So Naja's doo-doo. Nike. What does Nike do? Nothing at all. You're slow. You're garbage. You don't do a lot of damage late game. Poo-poo. Nox, worst god in the game. Why would you play Nox in any role? If you're going to play it, you're going to play it in mid, and then you're going to have average clear, average aggression. You're going to be able to be chased down. You hit your combo one time and they press beads. You probably don't even hit your combo by yourself because you have to play back so you don't get poked by everybody. Nox is trash. Nox, straight doo-doo. Nua, back to the average tier. She's not safer than other gods. Her positioning isn't better than other gods. Her ultimate doesn't do more damage than other gods. She's simple to play. If you suck butt and you want to sit on your tower and press alt, you can play her. But I don't know why you would do that when you have all these mages that do so much damage with their actual abilities. Odin is kind of cracked right now. Borderline want to say Odin's super strong or the soul in. I think I'm going to put him in super strong. With the change to his cooldown on his abilities, he has perma shields, perma 2s. So he's unkillable. You pretty much are going to run before you die every time. In the late game team fights, you don't want to prioritize focusing on Odin because his abilities are on such short cooldowns that not only is he unkillable, he can jump in and out, decide whether he wants to fuck with you or do damage to you or run away. He can keep stunning you over and over again. His 3 is on like a 5 or 6 second cooldown as well. And he's just one of, if not the most frustrating warriors in the game to kill at this moment. You don't really kill him until the full build has been hit and you start seeing mages like full build getting 3k pots and shit. That's when the Odin starts falling over. At that point, you need your mages doing their job. They should have already gotten a lead and you should already have fire or a fucking phoenix. Which is wild because I think they only removed like 1 second off of his 1 and his 2 or his 2 and his 3 or something like that. It was like 1 second plus the items that are in the game just made him go from never played to banned in SPL games all the time. Olaron is getting played a little bit more. He's a little bit better. They finally fixed his ultimate where he would be stunned in it and get stunned for 8 seconds. But not enough because the ultimate, even after the changes, I think they reduced the cooldown as well, is not enough. He's still got a long-ass ult cooldown. If you fuck up your ult one time, you're kind of useless for the next 2 minutes. You do not do enough ranged mage damage. You're kind of just there trying to get off really good auto attacks. And hunters do it better, so why not play hunter? Osiris is doing really well right now in that warrior jungle area, even as a solo, not too bad. But the warrior jungle area, high pressure into the early and mid game, and then the build pretty much just allows you to face check everybody until you hit that like almost late game point where mages have their pen and their high damage build online or high damage power online, and the hunters are in the same boat. They have their pen online, they have their high damage, their kins online. Pele is still good. I think Pele, it might be really underrated by your higher level players right now. Super simple to play. The knockup is still the best CC in the game. Just knockup in general, not hers. Her knockup is very good. She's able to run around fast, farm well, get over to team fights instantly. And I think that's where people need to prioritize more. Jungle farming is butt cheeks, so you want to be in every team fight and you want to do damage. You want to be able to get in and out and be a part of the kills and not die. Pele does that. You can decide whether you want to full engage with your ultimate. You can decide to run around the team fight and just kite people with the speed from your 3. You have the knockup to continue fights or to peel, and then you have range damage to secure kills with your 1. She's amazing. The builds kind of work for her. You aren't going the auto attack build, you're still going ability based, but she's good at all stages in the game, and her team fights and ability to be at every team fight is there if you're bad at rotating. Persephone is still nuts. I see this every day where people are like, Persephone, I wish you'd go back to old Persephone. Why? Why? She's easy to understand. She still does a fucking shit ton of damage. Everybody can't play her for whatever reason, but the people that do stomp with her. Old Persephone was better if you were insane. You know how many people played old Persephone and actually were better with it? Like 10. There was like 10 people playing old Persephone properly. Everyone else was playing it at like 50%. New Persephone is good, very consistent in what you're doing, and very frustrating. Poseidon, too much of an old bot overall. Like consistently hitting your 1 without being in the middle of the fight and being targeted is hard. And then being an old bot, people are just gonna build Aegis and not take any damage from you. You're easily dove. Yes, you're a fast character, but you don't have the actual mobility, so you're easy to kill. Raw, similar boats as Poseidon, except for you have the ranged ult, which is dope, and nobody's gonna be using Aegis on it most of the time. Consistently hitting that can be kind of hard. You're still easily dove. Your healing isn't that much. If you have a team that is playing around it, it's extra. I guess it's just like an extra play style that will work consistently, but it's hard to get 4 randoms or 4 ranked players to do that. So that's why you're seeing Raw on the average tier. Raijin is very strong right now, one of the better mages. just high pressure, high clear, CC immune ultimate, really good in the team fights, really good at W King, really good with the builds that allow for that much damage to come online that early. Rama, very good because you have the time buying ultimate. You have a steroid to go with the bow builds, and then you have a time buying ultimate. You're getting ganked, you ultimate, you Aegis, your team's there, you turn the fight. Rat, average, his global ult isn't enough anymore. He's not tanky enough to be doing crazy diving shit. He dies very fast late game. He's got a terrible late game, always has, always will, and you're in a meta where you hit late game in 22 minutes. So Rat just ain't it. Ravana, very good. You can go hybrid build, you can go an ability builds, you can go kind of whatever you want. He's still super safe. He's still good in the mid, early, and late game. You can still one-shot squishies late game while also having all the ability to avoid damage with the 2 and the ultimate. That hybrid build I went today, that one of my viewers gave me, actually ridiculous. Kind of unkillable if your team is doing anything at all. Scylla, I think, is still one of the better mages. Still high damage, still fairly safe, really good landing phase. Nothing wrong with her at all. She just does everything very well. Tarquette getting played a little bit more at a competitive level, but that's a competitive level. At a competitive level, Tarquette goes in, the other 4 motherfuckers go in. Tarquette can go a hybrid build and survive. You can go a damage build if they're not targeting you. In your games, the second you ultimate, they're all going to collapse on you because your team's not going to be there yet. There's going to be no coordination, and Tarquette is not going to be anywhere near as consistent. You're not going a crit build on Tarquette and one-shotting people. It just doesn't happen anymore. You're going usually a hybrid build, and you need your team to do damage. Your teammates are probably bad and not doing damage, so Tarquette is a lot harder to get away with. Set is still very good. One of the more, like, one of those gods that definitely got nerfed a bunch and should have fallen out of that OP role, but not all the way down. Set is still very easy to play, very consistent. Still great sustainability. Good with a hybrid build or an ability build. Easy to survive, easy to farm, easy to team fight, easy to gank. Like, easy for you to use in ganks. Scotty, average. Somebody, oh, was it Riley was telling me Scotty's OP now? No. Scotty is still Scotty. Ability-based hunters are not in the meta right now. They're not bad. They're not top of the meta. Straight up. Sobek, I think, is still really good. I'm going to put him in the goods here. I think Sobek is very easy to play for you support players who don't know how exactly to position, but still be able to start fights. Sobek does that, has good peel out of the 2, good peel out of the ultimate because people don't want to stand in it. Really good chase if you choose to do that. Hard to kill, even after the nerf to the ultimate. You're still taking less damage. You're still getting mana back. You're still able to fucking sustain and be annoying for a longer period of time. You are tanky because we're going back in that Sentinels meta where you have defense. So Sobek's doing really good. Soul doing great. Did they change the attack speed of Soul? What did they change on Soul? I know they fixed it where you didn't auto attack while 2ing, which was some thought was a nerf, but they changed something else on it, right? I don't remember what it was, but whatever it was, paired with the lifesteal items, paired with your Vamp Shroud, your Bancrofts, your Typhons, whatever you choose to go, she just sustains way too well. It's too hard to stick with her with anti-heal. She's hard to die because of her 3, her self-peel out of her ultimate, and her slow combo with her 2. Wukong, still very good in the solo lane. He's that solo laner that you play when you aren't really comfortable in the role because your ultimate will always keep you alive. You have range clear, so you don't really have to be out of position in lane when you don't know the matchup. And you kind of just do everything as before, where you're diving in the late game. You're just trying to one-shot mages and hunters, which you still do very well. Just a solid all-around solo laner that is safe. There is a larger room of air for you where you can fuck up and not lose the game, where some of these other ones, Cucullin, even King Arthur, if you really aren't sure what you're doing, you'll get fucked way easier. Susano got a buff. I'm not really sure if he's going to get played a lot more. They tweaked his 3 to do a little bit better on the clearing, and then they changed something else with his ultimate. Like, did they change it so you can shoot the ultimate when you die or something? I played him once or twice. He feels almost the exact same. We're in a meta where the warrior junglers with these AA builds are fucking you up. Susano does still get fucked up by those warriors. Sylvanas, average, hard to play, hard to engage. Not bad once you know how to do that, but still very difficult to get away with. Terra doing a little bit better than Sylvanas, but similar boat where your abilities aren't doing as much. The root from the 3 is frustrating. The ultimate is still solid, but nothing about your kit is great in team fights. You don't have amazing peel. You don't have amazing engage. You're kind of just there in the average middle. Thanatos is good, but risky. You miss a scythe in a team fight, you're dead. If your teammates aren't forcing the executes late game, it might be hard for you to get into team fights. So Thanatos is going to fall in that average tier. The Morrigan, still very, very good. Still high pressure. Can ultimate. The other team gets a good god or somebody with a big ultimate. You always have that option. The big thing with her that I really like for your casual and ranked games, your shit's going to be disorganized. There's going to be very little communication, and people aren't going to be warding that much. So Morgan excels in that environment. You're able to go to the back line and one-shot a mage before their team even realizes what is happening, which is what you want when you want to be the one carrying your games and being the win factor, the win condition of your matches. The Morgan does that. If you can't do that, if you don't feel comfortable diving into the back line, getting that kill off and disengaging, the Morgan might not be for you. But those of you who take the time to learn it, she's that mage that literally in the late game is super scary and will get you free wins over and over and over again. Thor, booty butt cheeks, bro. He needs buffs. We haven't seen Thor meta for over a year. He needs buffs. I don't even like Thor. I don't even want to play Thor. But it's just been so long without Thor in the meta that it's fucking weird. Thoth is still average. You get dove too easily in the late game. Straight up. Tiamat nerfed again. Still really good. I would put Tiamat, her, in super strong. But I think in your games, with the nerfs that they keep hitting her with, it becomes harder and harder for you to exploit what she's good at. I see Tiamat in my casual games every day, and people playing her just kind of do nothing. How am I lit? I've watched you guys play Tiamat. This is not a high tier play. Like, this character requires you to understand what you're doing. You're trolling. I had a 3200 MMR Tiamat that got clappered, had no idea what they were doing, did not rotate. I've had teammates in my casual games, higher MMR casual games, no clue what they're doing. You have to understand how to position. You have to understand you're not as fucking tanky as you used to be. You have to understand you can't just drop your creeps and win the game off of them anymore. She is more mage-esque than she was before, and people are not processing that. It is hard for someone to play a mage that goes into a melee short-range ability form and play around that when you're not super tanky. That is exactly what's happening right now. Your high-level players, yes, they understand how to get in and out of team fights with Tiamat, kite around. Your low-level players, your Mamba-level players, no, they're getting clip-clappered in a lot of the situations they shouldn't, but still very, very, very strong. Tsukiyomi has fallen off slightly, but still very good, especially with a hybrid build now that you can build lots of items and starters to choose from. Bumba's good, Bumba's spear good, whatever you want to go. Tier average, he's not killing it right now. He's not bad, but he's just not doing as much as the other ability-based hunters. Ul, I'm going to throw into the average tier. Ul is very annoying to play against, but ability-based hunters still fall off very hard. Amana, anti-heal, too viable, too good, paired with how easy it is for you to just eat double sunders and die. Vamana's just die in my games. You ult and you insta-die. Straight up. You literally insta-die. Vulcan, too easy to dive. Decent clear, decent team fights, just very, very easy to dive. Shibalanke, no steroid. The ultimate is still very viable, but not as good as it once was. Your mobility isn't any better than the other hunters, so Shibalanke is falling in that average tier. Xing10, one of the better supports right now. Really good at diving hunters, really good at being frustrating, hard to kill. Probably the safest support you can always play. Been that way for years. Xing10 is doing very well in the meta as a support player, as a support character. Even in the solo lane, just very, very slow out of that solo lane. I'd probably stick to the support role if you want to play Xing10. Yamoja, when played properly, is very, very strong. Decent mobility, hard to kill. That ultimate can be absolutely devastating in team fights. And then your laning phase is actually really good now. So paired with that, you're still going Sentinels now. No benevolence, so you are a little bit tanky. Nobody really wants to target you. She's doing good. Ymir, I'm going to put in the average, the good tier. A little bit above average. The wall is really strong into some of these gods being picked. You see Artemis get picked. Ymir's gonna fucking be able to wreak havoc on them. A lot of these junglers that have lower mobility, so your Erlong Shens, or even people that are just full diving in out of the jungle, you can lock them down and be very annoying. It's mainly the wall that Ymir is killing it with, as well as his lane pressure and his early kills that you end up getting in your lower level casual and ranked games. Zeus, shit. No mobility, and his damage takes too long to ramp up. Zhong Kui, way better with the Vamp Shroud being in the game, the ability to go a lifesteal, tankier build, tyrannical, all those items making him good in the solo or even in the mid if you go a hybrid build. It's hard to kill. If you have a mage, whoops, pumping out that much damage, it's difficult to kill while also sustaining. It's very hard to deal with when you aren't super coordinated, you aren't hitting big CCs, or you aren't disengaging from his ultimate. There's your tier list. Good, dude. There are right now, especially for ranked, there are so many gods you can play that are good. It's ridiculous. Zhongkui ADC, yeah, I played against you. You went 0-8 that game. Forgot Loba? No, Mindy, no Loba. Loba doo-doo. Loba doo-doo. Got insta-killed with Zhong. Yeah, that's what happens a lot is people get ahead on Zhong And when a Zhong rotates into a team fight with a lead and you don't recognize it, it does way more damage than you expect. You think this is why Charybdis is so disappointing? All the new gods have been OP till now? Not necessarily. We've had a lot of gods come in that weren't really that good or weren't really that fun. I just think we all expect it to be broken and OP because that's the way you get people to play the game. Hello, Daedra. Susano. What about Susano? Why is Osiris not super strong? Because his late game, he heavy falls off. He always has been that way. He's also an all-in jungler, or usually play in the jungle, where you want to have the opportunity and the ability to disengage. So someone like Gilgamesh, you could blink in, use your abilities, and then leap out. Or Long Shen, you could blink in, use your taunt, knock, and then knock up, and choose whether you want to cancel that knock up and fight, or keep running away with your knock up. You thought Hebo would be better with starter items? Well, if you're playing a Hebo right now, most people are playing Hebo jungle. Hebo in the mid lane's not bad, but it's still hard to clear, hard to stay safe, hard to rotate without being dove. You're dove easily in team fights. You have gods like Fenrir that are meta. You have gods that are going to avoid that ultimate very easily that are meta. That makes it hard to play Hebo consistently. And in the jungle, I think having a second mage becomes very risky for people to stack magic defense, and then you need to rely on your ADC. A lot of ADCs are very bad right now. Like, not the gods, the players playing ADC are very inconsistent. So you want to be able to have a good mage or a good ADC, which usually makes going a normal physical jungler just similar to the meta comps, where people aren't going to build based on that. They aren't going to go stack deep physical defense because you have a physical jungler, but you go a magical jungler, there's a good chance the first items are fucking Achilles. You just see magical heavy stacks, and it's really hard to play around.